Virginia lose? Was it Virginia? Because they don't shoot anything.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't surprised at all, but
Yeah,
surprised.
Yeah, I picked Furman to beat to beat Virginia. I was not expecting this. I mean, Fairleigh Dickinson's the shortest team, like average height at all Division I basketball. Their tallest guy's 6'6". In Purdue, you got 6'4" Zach Edey.
I didn't think there's any chance.
The defense, I mean, Tobin Anderson, the head coach, the defense has just been spot on. Yeah, Edey's got like 20-some points, but the way they're guarding him in the post is like textbook perfect. It's wild. I was not expecting it.
Yeah. No. What up, Colin, man? Welcome back to the show. Bonus episode day. Yeah,
What's up, Colin?
This, but go figure. If they do hold on to lose, or I guess, FDU holds on to win. Fairleigh Dickinson, is that what you said?
Yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson.
Couldn't have guessed. I was like, what is this? Front Dakota? I don't know what FDU is. Yeah. So no, my question is, if they hold on to it, it's just an omen. And whenever Virginia loses, it's just a bad omen for number 1 seeds. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah, this will be the third year in a row that Purdue loses to a double-digit seed.
They're starting to look like Gonzaga.
They are.
I'm just saying.
Gonzaga, they're having a hard time right now with Grand Canyon.
Which I'm not surprised by. Like, Gonzaga's had a tough year. They stomped on St. Mary's towards the end of the year, which is always tough in conference talent. But like, this is a weird year. I looked at the bracket.
Very weird.
You look at our bracket. I looked at it this afternoon during teams had completed.
Yeah.
And I was tied for first, and I have a trash bracket. What is this?
I'm telling you, it's weird. It's a very weird year. I mean, you got Arizona going down, you got Virginia going down. Houston, they got lucky. They got lucky last night because who was it that they played? North Kentucky took like 30-some 3-pointers and hit 5 of them.
So bad.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. It's not good for me. I picked Houston to win the whole thing, so who cares?
Yeah, Houston might be in some trouble. Sasser, he didn't play the second half. Then Shed, after the game, Sampson's like, we're not sure the extent of his injury. I'm like, 2 top guys, that's not good.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to it. Oh, man. Ugh. Anyway.
The Big 12 hasn't fared too great either.
I know. I'm really frustrated by it.
3-2 so far. I mean, you got a couple more games tonight, which they probably should win. But, I mean, Arizona State, they got to play in one of the playing games, so they kind of got a little bit of momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colin, he's first in the brackets right now.
Yeah. But even them, they had some injury concerns. Oh, man.
Yeah. Miller didn't score a single point.
That's weird to me.
Yeah. I mean, luckily for them, they destroyed them. But yeah.
Well, they should be fine. But I don't know. I cannot believe I'm on. So I don't have cable on my TV. So the one I have it behind is the. There it is. Now they finally switched over. I just have the CBS game on right now because I don't have TV.
Oh yeah. But YouTube TV has a quad box.
Have you seen? Yeah.
Yeah. But, got all 4.
NCAA basketball has it. Like NCAB.
Oh, do they?
NCAB streams. It'll take the March Madness actual website, and you can watch 4 games at once on your laptop or phone or whatever. It's all free. Like you're not getting like free.
Oh, there you go.
2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a way to go because now you can kind of keep an eye on all of them, and then whichever game you have highlighted, it does the audio from that game.
Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
I know. We don't have to officially start until we see what happens.
We got 30 seconds.
30 seconds
Oh,
left.
boy.
Yeah. Colin said he picked all the games 30 seconds or less. That was smart, man.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a gut thing.
Yeah, that's what he's like. Yeah, I picked it in 30 seconds. So I did that on, for the card group. We had one on there, and that's what I did. I woke up the next morning, and it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was just like, and it's looking awful.
I did for the first time, I think, since I was a kid. I did
Uh-huh.
one. I did only this one. And I was like, well, we'll see how it goes. Nope. Should
I
have
did 3. I did ours, and then I did the one, the cards, and then I do one every year where I flip a coin.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Whichever it lands on. Yeah, it had West Virginia winning.
Okay.
Well, West Virginia's not in it anymore. But it did have Fairleigh Dickinson beating Purdue. So, hey.
Oh. Well,
the coin called it.
It's a roller coaster of a bracket for sure.
Yeah, I want to say 3 of the number 1 seeds got knocked out with the coin flip. Yeah.
That makes sense. But Andrew
Definitely.
Wiggins. What's going on with Andrew Wiggins? What did I miss?
I have no clue.
Colin, catch us up, man. We both have loved the NBA. I really loved how they're dogging on the teams right now for sitting so many guys and how that's the theme.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear what he did.
Did you see the new rules that they might be passing for like the end of the year, like awards and like all-star games and stuff like that? That you have to play a minimum amount of games to either get like the MVP, first team, all NBA, certain amount of games to get voted to all-star game. And they're like, for some of these guys, those max contracts, it depends on them getting one of the first, second, or third team all NBAs or defense. And so if they don't play a certain amount, it could affect their contracts.
What's that amount?
It's a lot.
60 teams.
Say they didn't specify the amount of games.
75. Give me 75, please. So that's I didn't know he hadn't played in that long, but
me neither.
Yeah, I don't know what he's probably got to be. I mean, if it's personal issues, I mean, I would imagine it's nothing good.
Yeah,
hopefully there's no good answer. Like you can't be like, well, hopefully it's mental, so that way he's getting counseling, therapy, that kind of thing. It helps. Well, no, that doesn't help because the other option is medical, right? And it's like, something bad like cancer. You don't want it to be any of them. So, 13 games. Yeah, T's and P's, I think, is what we'll have to say. Thoughts and prayers.
One thing I want to talk Monday when we have Howard on is ask him about, if he was Ja's agent, how would he handle the situation with what's going on with Ja Morant?
Oh, with Ja Morant. Oh, okay, cool. Did you, I'm gonna put that. How I'm gonna put that in the notes.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that is. It's actually switching. Okay. Yeah, when he texted back, and I was like, "Oh shoot, man!" When he said who else I'm gonna say name drop, but he would. I was like, "Oh, we got to bring our A game."
Yeah, right.
Putting the ball on let's.
Yeah, I was like, "Well, I went from nervous to even more nervous."
Yeah. I can't wait though, man. I'm gonna have to talk to Stephanie about how do I record his. How do I?
For the actual podcast, yeah. Yep, got no clue.
But I'm gonna figure it out. So
I mean, if anything, it'll be on YouTube. So.
Oh yeah, how stinking cool, man. Yeah. So Colin, I appreciate you hanging with us. We're about to actually get started. For those who are like, well, maybe we'll put in the timestamp on the YouTube in the comments. Like, hey, if you want to wait till after the Purdue game is done, that's when we actually hit the notes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it to pull up here. There we go.
Man.
Wait.
Keep on calling timeouts, and they keep on reviewing stuff. Goodness gracious. Longest 30 seconds ever.
I know. There's 18 seconds left. Did they call another timeout, or you got to be kidding?
Yeah. And see, since Oklahoma's not in it, I'm just up for all the chaos.
Oh,
I just want to see it all happen.
Absolutely.
And I'm rooting Kentucky loses. I'm not a fan of Calipari, so let's go Providence.
I'm not, but I do like Tashibi. How do you say it?
Shiwei.
Yeah, I do like him. He's a senior. Do you know he's a senior?
Yeah,
I figured he would, but I love that.
He played his first 3 years at West Virginia.
Yeah.
And transferred last year.
Yeah. Well, this game is pretty chippy.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was going to be. I mean, Chiwei is a big physical guy.
He's got 20 boards already.
Providence plays a physical brand of defense, and they kind of got that old school Ed Cooley. I like the way he coaches. I like the way he coaches up his guys. He may not have the best, talent out there, but man, they're gonna give it to you every single time you play him.
Yeah, they're doing that thing when it's timeout, and then like they'll both teammates will like.
Oh yeah, walk through like
away.
I ain't pushing.
It's like, no, you go around.
Yeah. Oh man.
They should hold out. But what a weird year. I mean, did you? Okay, so Duke or ORU, right? The pride that the only team in Oklahoma that made it, right? And didn't miss Panhandle State, right? I didn't make it. So get thumped by Duke. I did actually predict ORU to win that game. I was not believing in Duke this year, and I'm.
Yeah, I took Duke. I took ORU winning 2 games.
Oh.
I hadn't beaten. Was it Tennessee the next game they play? I think it was.
Deep, so we'll see.
See, my thing with Tennessee was that one of their guys got hurt during the right before the SEC tournament, and he was like, the lead point guard, stuff like that. So I was like, it may affect him, and they didn't look great last night. So yeah, I thought maybe ORU could make another little magical run like they did a few years ago. They could not hit the broadside of a barn.
No, and what's crazy is they had such a great season.
Yeah.
30-4. I mean, it was a classic. Real quick, where is FDU from? At the Northeast Conference, but I couldn't even tell you what state. He just got trashed.
I want to say Delaware feels like it's coming to mind.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing, dude.
But I can't. I'm not exactly sure.
Did you see this block?
Yeah,
absolutely
he
slapped.
Pull it up real quick.
Ooh. Man, they got no chance. No chance. Come on. I'm 100% gonna put it in the chat in the notes. Hey, on YouTube, you can skip ahead. What are we at? 12 minutes in now.
New Jersey.
Okay, there you go.
Teaneck, New Jersey. Hopefully, I'm saying that right.
How do they still have so many timeouts left? This is so dumb.
I don't know, but I think that then if they win, it's like 8 years in a row or something like that. A team from New Jersey advances to the round of 32, which isn't something you would think.
No, you wouldn't. But they do play good basketball out there in the Northeast.
Yeah, crazy.
Okay, so quick question as we're still waiting for this to go, and this is kind of the lead in. Well, should I wait for this question until we start the actual podcast?
I don't know. See, I got a little game we can play too once the podcast goes.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw it at the bottom of the NFL notes.
I didn't. I don't know that we'll get through everything. I think that's okay. We can actually say whatever we don't get to in an hour, we'll save for Monday.
Yeah, well,
who would you rather have? Oh yeah. I want to play the game. I saw the notes. Wasn't sure what it was.
Yeah. I've got a list of some, a few position because some of them I was like, man, I didn't quite understand what the teams were doing.
Okay, we'll find out.
Yeah. Dude. I'm 12 seconds. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, WrestleMania is here in KC.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Dude, there's so many. People love it. We were at a coffee shop Steph and I were this week, and they had like a version from like 1992 on TV. It was great. Oh. Just the salesmanship those guys had, man.
Dude, the old wrestling was so good. Like whenever I was younger, that was like my thing was WWE wrestling. Yeah, or I should say WWF. I had all the action figures. I even had like WWF birthday.
Dude, I didn't know that's you.
Oh yeah, like my nieces, like Caleb's kids, they just got into it a couple years ago, and so now I'm like, I can watch it again, and I watch it with them every once in a while. Like the Royal Rumble was on a few months ago, and they were at their house watching. I was watching. Me and Dorothy were just texting back and forth. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
one of my coworkers, he's a big fan of it. He grew up watching Hulk Hogan and all those guys. But it was WWF. That was what we were watching on TV. It was great.
Yeah, we got a few of our listeners. Matt, he's a big WWE guy. JMP comes in every once in a while. He's a big WWE guy. So yeah, we got a few listeners that.
Dude, the showmanship, it's a whole thing. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, it's fake." Obviously, it's fake, right? It's but it's entertaining, right? That's the thing.
Exactly.
This is over.
It's over.
Game. Oh my god.
It over.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Right, we're gonna hit record right as it goes. So we'll go ahead and hit it right now. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everyone, to a bonus episode of the W Podcast. I hope you all are hanging on to your seats because there's 0.6 seconds left in that Purdue FDU game as we are recording. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Dude, no, I didn't. No, not even a thought in my mind that
Tubby,
this was happening.
When we said bonus episode this week, and we've already been in this video on the YouTube side for 15 minutes. So note that if you go over to the YouTube side and you want to watch this as it's happening, know that there's 15 minutes of us just waiting for this game to end before we could start because we were like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we had to make sure it happened. I feel like if we didn't, we would be too distracted.
Oh, 100%. So we had to wait until there's 0.6 seconds. They could keep getting blocked. Oh my gosh, dude. This is insane to me.
I mean, hats off to Tobin Anderson. I mean, the defensive scheme that they put together for Zach Edey was just like, I mean, perfect. I thought there was no shot with their tallest guy being 6'6", and then Zach Edey being 7'3", that there was no shot they would be able to slow him down. And he said, you know, when they won I think they won the first 4 in or whatever to play Purdue, and he goes, "I've been watching them. We can beat them." And I was like, "Oh, dude, you probably should slow your roll a second." No, he knew. He got it. He saw something and was like, "Yeah, we can take them out." So I guess from now on, if you see Purdue playing a double-digit seed, make sure you pick the double-digit seed.
Go ahead and even if they're a 1 seed. Yeah, no, we've already seen it.
Yep.
Wow, what a way to start a bonus podcast episode for the month of March. Man, we are so excited. Month of March is a pretty full month because you have baseball, but not only baseball this year. You had the World Baseball Classic, and then only that, you have NFL Combine that just wrapped up, and now you go into the draft season. So if you didn't already know this, on our socials, Tubby is already putting together our top 5 lists of players, position rankings. He put out the tight ends this week. So if you didn't already see it, you can see it on YouTube or just go follow us on the social side of things. You'll get it. It's a great, and I believe in it. There was already one tweak I would do, and we'll get to that later on. But I think it's a great list, and this guy's mind is incredible. So just throwing that out.
Yeah. I have to try to remind myself to edit a little bit because I'm like, I want to get all the information I can. And then I'm like, okay, this video is getting a lot longer than I was expecting. So so the videos now will be 2 parts.
All right. Okay. So there you go. Even better.
Yeah.
All right.
That way, I mean, because if you listen to like when I'm talking about Sam Laporta, I'm like talking as fast as I can. I'm like, it's probably not the best.
No, it's good, man.
The first go. So we'll get better as it goes along.
We will, right? And first off, just want to say thank you all so much for joining us there. I know we had a couple people already join in on the YouTube side. Greatly appreciate y'all's support. Y'all what makes this so much fun. And we are on the road to 100 subscribers on YouTube. And once we hit that 100, we're going to do a drawing for a giveaway of a signed NFL jersey. So if you haven't already, sub the channel. And you know what? You can go ahead and turn on alerts too, just so that way you know when we go live for bonus episodes like this. Or even better, on Monday nights when we're normally doing it at 6:30 Central, maybe I'm running 10 minutes late, and you're like, "Well, I thought they were on." You get the alert as soon as we hit go. All right, that's all it is. It keeps it simple.
Absolutely.
So we get about an hour today to record, and we're going to hit this 2-part episode. Part 1 today, part 2 will continue on Monday, as we will have our first ever official guest on the W Podcast. And y'all, I'm just telling you, Tubby, he's the guy to know. Okay, that's what I've learned since I've known him. So we're going to start today, though, and we're going to have a game at the back end, but we're also going to have a little bit of a question because I got into probably a way too long of a discussion, very heated at work this week. And I want to, it was because of Kyler Murray, right? And this guy, he asked me, a coworker of mine, he said, hey, he believed, what did I write on the question? I want to make sure I don't botch the question here. Leading question was Kyler Murray, he does, why can I not figure out the way to answer? Why do you think Kyler Murray had such a bad year? That was the question. I mean, it took me forever to get there. Here we are.
Me personally, it's probably going to be like I think it was the relationship. I think him and Cliff Kingsbury are probably just done. And there also could be the aspect of, the things that they put into the contract that they eventually took out, that he had to, spend more time in the film room because he spend too much time playing Call of Duty, stuff like that. Could be part of it, but I really do believe that there was a big fracture with him and Kingsbury, and he was just kind of not having it anymore and was ready for Kingsbury probably to move on because the relationship just seemed toxic the whole season.
So yours is very analytical. I like it. Mine was heart driven. Okay. So I was thinking 100%. Why does he have a bad year? And those things are all true, but I think it's because he doesn't like football. He doesn't love football. He loves baseball.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you don't love something, what do you do when it gets hard?
Yeah. I mean, just kind of don't give it.
Yeah. You don't give everything you can to it. And that's what it felt like to me. So I could be wrong. Right. But that's what I saw. That's what I felt. And so this got into this whole discussion. That was the leading question. And then so I said he loves baseball. So my friend was like, well, then why in the world does he play football? He can make more money playing baseball. I said, he can't. And then we got this whole discussion about how much money he's making per year, max versus guaranteed money, and per year. And it's insane. And then I said, this is how much money the best of the best make. And Kyler Murray is not the best of the best in baseball, nor if he was, it would take him, 6 years before he could get that type of contract, not day one. So he chose football because it was the money thing, right? Like, you're number one overall pick, Heisman. It's so stupid hard to make it in any professional sport. You better get paid while you can. And he did. I don't fault him for it, and I think he can still be an incredible quarterback. I just don't know if the love for the game is there the way it was for baseball.
Yeah, no, that is a very, good answer too. I mean, this is something we brought up last year, is that you kind of watch him and you just go, man, does he really care? He has the demeanor of Jay Cutler, and it's something I compared him to, just the demeanor wise, is that anytime he makes a mistake, most of the time he's just like straight face, like nothing. I don't care. Like, he doesn't care. And that is a very good, assumption, I think, because he doesn't act like it. And yeah, baseball, if you are one of those top guys and you do get paid, yeah, you make a pretty good chunk, but the average per year isn't anywhere close to what it is in the NFL. And the extensions you get, I mean, he could go out and have a big year, 2 years, then get another massive extension because the market is constantly moving with these quarterbacks, and they can go, he just got paid. It's my turn to get paid. Because what is he making right now? I think his average per year is $45 million. Yeah, you ain't getting that in baseball.
How many players in baseball make that much?
I don't know. I would say one.
Zero.
The only person. Is it Verlander? Yeah, and say I knew Verlander was somewhere's. Yeah. So exactly. The average per year, the guaranteed money, it's there, and then plus, like you said, it's hard to get to make it pro in any sport, but baseball especially. I mean, it is tough to really make it in baseball. And minor league, I mean, he had some solid years, with Oklahoma when he played baseball, but it wasn't anything spectacular where I looked at it, and whenever he got drafted high, I was like, man, that seems a little crazy. And I get the speed and all that, whatever combination could possibly be really good, but still, I was like, man, they weren't the most productive years playing baseball at OU. Yeah, the upside's there, but for him to go in the top 10, I thought was insane.
Well, so that brought up the follow-up question, because we branched off from the original question quick. So the follow-up one was, which is more difficult? So for the record, my buddy is die-hard basketball. Basketball is his sport. And in this discussion, he learns that baseball is my sport, right? That's what I care about the most of it, that I had the most invested in fandom-wise and everything. So which is more difficult? First base in Major League Baseball or point guard in the NBA?
First base, and it's not even close.
So I said first base as well. And he's like, what, bro? All you doing is catching a ball. I said, no, it's way more than that. I was like, because I've seen, as a Cardinals fan, I've seen Paul Goldschmidt and how the difference instantly he brought to that team defensively. Because Now they're the best defense in baseball. Remember what this team was before him?
Yeah.
Before Arenado? The worst defense in baseball. And we still had Colton Wong, right? It was terrible. We had Jose Martinez trying to play first base. So stupid hard. So I said, and he's like, okay. Now you tell me then, if that's the case, he said, what could an average person, what is easier to do? Field a fly ball or get 6 points in a rec league basketball game?
I would say fly ball, because the tracking, it depends on how high the ball is. Tracking a ball can be very difficult.
Dude, same thing that I said. I want to know, if you're in the chat, I want to know, do you believe, which is harder, first base, point guard in the top tier talent, and like we said, which one's more difficult, catching a fly ball or going out? And I'm saying, like, even if it was softball, right? Like, it's just a rec league softball slow hit pitch. I've done it. And if you haven't done it recently, it's like, oh shoot, that ball is going quicker than I thought, or oh shoot, that ball it's going to dive quicker. Like, it is so much harder. And if you get one wrong step, you're done.
What's the arguments, for the basketball? Because passing a ball hard? No. I mean, facilitating an offense can't be that hard for a point guard, because the guy leading the NBA in assists is a center.
Well, wow. Take
Just
that,
saying.
man.
Just saying.
Right now, but we're going to call him D. Yeah, take that, D. Okay? I just want you to know. This is where we're at. This is where the fandom is at right now. Okay?
Growing up, I mean, everyone that knows me, basketball will always be my first love, no matter what. As much as I don't watch it anymore, and as much as I can't stand the way the game is played, the game of basketball is way easier than the game of baseball, and it's not close. Baseball and golf are the two hardest sports in the world to play, and it's not. I mean, I would say football and basketball are two of the easiest ones.
I think basketball is the easiest, but this will bring up the question of the three major sports: baseball, basketball, football. Who has the best athletes?
Ooh.
Baseball.
I mean,
we all know it's not baseball.
Yeah, it's not baseball. But I mean, some of those baseball players are athletes, though. I mean, very good athletes,
right?
Across the board. Yeah, I would. Man, that's tough. Football and basketball, there's some freaks.
I know. This is where the debate came for us too, and I had 1A and 1B.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's tough.
But the reason why this conversation comes up is because of what you just said, right? Like easier ones to play, basketball, football, but I think they're the best athletes.
Yeah.
And so for his mind, my friend D, he was saying that, it's easier to score 6. It's harder to score 6 points because they're better athletes. And I don't necessarily agree. As one of the reasons. He had lots of reasons. He was coming at it with a lot of facts that he had. I was just retorting with why I thought better facts.
I mean, Brian Scalabrine scored like 20 points in the league game. That dude was not athletic at all.
Right. Kwame Brown. So, better athletes. Sorry, I interrupted your thought.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think basketball probably is, just because, I mean, the running, jumping, athletic ability. And there is a lot of football players, especially tight ends, that translate into, that play basketball most of their career and translated into the, the skills translated better into the football. So I would probably say basketball are more athletic, but I mean, I don't know if it's that far off. There's some of these guys in the NFL are freaks.
I put a lot of determination on that with strength. And across the board, football is strong. And so, Tyreek Hill, just as fast as any, but quick. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is a weird athlete, but bro's an athlete. He's just a heck of an athlete. It's just weird. So I put 1A football, 1B basketball. It's so close. Like, if you're a big fan of boxing, it was like a 10-9 decision. It was close.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of those decisions where you're like, man, it could go. It really could go either way, because a lot of those football players, you ask them, they're like, man, I was a baller back in the day, when it came to basketball. I mean, Marcus Spears. Marcus Spears is a big man, but you ask Kendrick Perkins, and Kendrick Perkins will tell you Marcus Spears is one of the best basketball players he's ever played basketball with. He played high school basketball with them.
Yeah, one of my favorite arguments of this whole thing was, well, better athletes mean that they could play better at baseball and stuff like that. And the argument, he was like, Michael Jordan. I was like, Michael Jordan hit 200 in AA against a bunch of 20-year-olds. Okay,
Yeah.
so don't tell me that the greatest basketball player of all time was good at baseball. He wasn't.
And the only reason why he made it to AA
Because he was Michael Jordan.
Ticket sales, 100% ticket sales.
Tim Tebow made it to AAA because his name was Tim Tebow, and the Mets are the
Mets. Yeah, they looking for money. Yeah, that don't work, because I guarantee you, LeBron James can't get up there and swing a bat like baseball players.
Oh, I would love to see it.
I don't care how athletic you are. Baseball is not easy.
You don't see NFL players or you don't see basketball players playing in celebrity games like softball, but you do see other athletes playing in celebrity basketball. Just throwing it out there. All right, so we actually got to get to some of the do's and notes. So again, 15 more minutes of the podcast. Here we are with legit debates, I think. But a couple quick news that we'll hit, and then we're going to talk about some quarterbacks. If you're cool with that, Tubby. That's how we'll start today. So number one, they did listen. Did we mention this before a couple weeks ago when the Broncos were trying to hire Rex Ryan as their DC, and we're like,
I think so.
Okay.
Honestly, I can't.
I know we mentioned it. I don't know if you mentioned when they decided to listen to the podcast. They did not sign him. Instead, they went with Vance Joseph, the DC. So just good news.
Probably a smart move.
Yeah. Jalen Carter. So the news came out this week that there are no more charges from that situation. Any other details? I mean, how much do you think, and this is a little early on the draft stuff, but is it going to change any of the details you think on his draft stock?
So I think first off, whenever it happened, even before the news came out, I was like, it's going to hurt him, even if he gets cleared and everything, because there has been off the field, issues with him before, and maturity issues that a lot of teams have brought up. And so that probably hurt his stock some, but then I don't know if you saw his pro day. What happened in the pro day? He showed up 9 pounds heavier. He did one drill and they're like, the scouts could, hear him gasping for air on one knee, cramping up and stuff. And they're like, so how much is he taking, his, body and getting in shape serious? And so I think that there's a chance that he's fallen, and I don't know how far, but it may not be a top 10 pick now.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a huge difference in that. Maybe not necessarily expectations wise. I mean, you remember he's not the first player to have this, even just athletic stuff. I mean, remember Orlando Brown coming out and this is the worst one ever. Combine transfer a tackle. But anyway, and he's had a good career so far. We'll get to him more in a little bit. I think you're right. He's probably still he's going to fall so far at some point. Someone will say, no, we're going to take a flyer and we'll be able to work with this. The biggest struggle for him is just going to be, hey, if you want to play this professionally, you have to care. Like, you got to give it everything, because your talent will take you so far, especially through high school and in college for a little bit, depending on what conference you're in. But in the NFL, everybody's incredible. Everybody's fast. Everybody is strong. So you gotta get to that next level. Do you want to do combine today, or do you want to do that next time? What do you feel?
I say we'll just hit it next time.
Okay, I'm cool with that. So I got some beef. Okay, I got some beef with some of these quarterbacks. I think we need to have a reset. I don't understand the market for this.
It's the Browns. The Browns literally screwed the market up for every single team in the NFL. That fully guaranteed $235 million to a guy that had off the field concerns and all that, stuff that happened, and hadn't played for a year, and you give him $235 million guaranteed the entire contract. It basically imploded the quarterback market.
So how do you fix it?
I think it's starting to. I mean, the way the market is going to be, the quarterbacks are always going to. The contracts are gradually going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and so you look at some of these contracts like the Daniel Jones and Derek Carr. Right now, they're probably sitting at 8th, 9th most paid quarterbacks. By the time the market kind of starts building itself up again, they're probably going to be closer to the 15th. So those ones I'm not so concerned about. But it's like the guys like Lamar Jackson right now. He's asking for a fully guaranteed contract, and he thinks he deserves to be paid more than Deshaun Watson. And there's a great argument there that he probably should be, just because you don't have the off the field baggage, but now you got the injury concerns from him. And so I think the teams are kind of strong arming him, going, okay, this is how we kind of reset the market. Not giving fully guaranteed contract. I mean, because Aaron Rodgers didn't even get a fully guaranteed contract. I mean, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson got more guaranteed money than Aaron Rodgers did. So I think this is their way of trying to go, okay, if you're asking for a fully guaranteed contract, ain't going to be anywhere close to what he got, and it's going to be for 2 or 3 years. And that's exactly what happened. The Ravens offered him 3 years, $133 million, fully guaranteed, and he turned it down.
Yeah.
So I think this is their way of trying to correct it and going, okay, look, we're not going to give in here, and every other team's not going to give in. So I don't know if it'll work. Time will tell.
Time will tell. Help me understand, why do we live in a world where one quarterback named Taysom Hill has made more money than Lamar Jackson, an NFL MVP? I remember when Taysom got this contract, we talked about it, like, what are they thinking? Mm-hmm. And they're already regretting it. I mean, the Saints are in some cap issues here, but he's a football player, right? So I don't understand what's going on. I look at, it's just, so of the quarterbacks to me, Danny Dimes got a quarter deal. We can talk about that. Geno Smith got 3 years, $100 million. Ravens got Lamar Jackson's non-exclusive tag, which is big because when it's money, but also other teams can do it, and there's draft picks compensate, like, tied to him. Mm-hmm. I think this is huge. So of these 4 quarterbacks, which one of the quarterbacks deals right now, which one are you most surprised by as they stand right now?
I would say, man, that's tough. I would say Daniel Jones. And it's nothing against the guy. He did improve this year, and he could get better just because of the fact that he had no targets. Really, I mean, literally had no one throw the
ball except
so. Yeah, so maybe his numbers get better, but I think this is probably the best we will see Daniel Jones. And Geno Smith, that one is still, I'm not high on that one. I still think that for a guy that had one good year and he's in his 30s and 10 years since he started a game before last year, it kind of makes me shake my head, go, it more than likely was a fluke season.
Yeah.
And so
it's only 3 years, which is good.
Yeah. And it seems like it's very heavy forward. So that way, say he doesn't have a good year, it sounds like it's a lot easier for them to get out of it in the second year.
Yeah.
So they played it smart that way. So that was one reason why I wasn't so upset about the Geno Smith. But the Daniel Jones, I mean, $40 million for a guy that is maybe middle of the pack in the NFL.
Well, I disagree. Athletic wise, yeah, absolutely. Like, he's been able to run the ball well this last year. Mm-hmm. I will point out he has more interceptions than touchdowns, I believe, every single year of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Or maybe one of those years he's like even, but
yeah, I mean, it seems right. I don't know exactly his stats, for his career, but the guy, really hasn't really shown anything for me to go, that guy can win me a Super Bowl. And for him to get $40 million per year, I thought was exactly was the reason why I was like, I wasn't happy with that contract. I thought it was crazy because 1 year in the system, and Dable did look like a better passer and looked like he was making better decisions throwing the football, but he's still Daniel Jones.
Hold up. I don't know where I saw that stat about him and the interceptions. It's wrong.
Okay.
But he had 1 year was 11 touchdowns, 10 picks, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks. Last year was 15-5. So he got better, and his completion percentage has gone up each year. But if you look at his yards per pass, it's gone up, but it's gone up to 6.8. Like, we don't need to, like, I mean, I don't get this one at all. I get it because he's 6'5", 230, right? Like, oh, he
Mm-hmm.
looks like a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
But he won one playoff game against a bad team, and I don't know. I just don't get it. Like, I have a hard time saying which one's worse, him or even Geno, because Geno, we know what Geno is, right? This is like when that prospect who's 29 years old finally makes their debut, has a good month and a half, and everyone's like, man, where has he been? And then he fizzles back. We saw Geno fizzle back last year after that hot start, and people kind of figured it back out again. And then for him to come back and how here we are for $100 million, which is good for him. Absolutely. Ball out, go get it. That one doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I don't know what Seattle's trying to do.
See, but I think the Seattle thing, like I think the way they laid the work of the contract, that it is a lot easier for them to get out of it without it being a massive cap hit. After the first year, say he does regress and he does look like he did, 10 years ago when he was starting for the Jets, there's a good chance that they'll cut him. And I wouldn't be surprised if they draft a quarterback, honestly, at 7. If somehow Anthony Richardson falls there, they're going to snag Anthony Richardson or even Will Levis. They're going to snag him so fast and go, okay, now we got our quarterback, possibly our quarterback of the future, and we'll let him sit at least a year behind Geno Smith.
Yeah, and he could be a great bridge quarterback, much better than Marcus Mariota was or Matt Ryan was, some of these other guys. So that's good. The Derek Carr hitting the Saints, we called it, we predicted it. You even sent in the receipts so people would know. Okay, which appreciate the hard work on that. So we already were thinking this is where it's going to be $100 million guaranteed on that, plus up to $50 million more. I don't know how they swung this. How did they make the cap work? I don't get the magic behind the curtain. But they did it.
Restructuring contracts. So here in a few years, they're going to be in some even bigger, salary cap issues when it comes to it, because they're pushing all these contracts back years. Okay, we'll make it to where either this reverts to a signing bonus this year, or your cap hit this year is only a couple $1 million, but 2026 it's going to be $30-some million compared to. That's basically what they're doing, is restructuring contracts, that these massive contracts that they have on the team, and pushing their contracts back, pushing back the salary years.
It sounds like the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is.
So they compared his numbers last year, the 24 and 14, I believe, is touchdowns, yards per attempt, all that kind of stuff, completion percentage, and they put it up next to Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston, and whoever else threw a pass for them, and it was essentially the same. So is this actually an upgrade for the Saints going into next year?
I think it is. I really do. Andy Dalton, and then they had, let's put it this way. Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston, they had those numbers combined against that bad of a division. You put Derek Carr in that situation, you can't tell me that those numbers probably ain't going to be better. Because he is better than Andy Dalton. He is better than Jameis Winston.
Yes.
And, you got a second year now with, Olave in the NFL. Maybe Michael Thomas can stay healthy. Doubt it.
No, he can't.
Alvin Kamara. You got
Kamara, but yeah.
You got Jamal Williams now as, another running back. And they can add a couple pieces in the draft on the offensive side if they need to. So I think he obviously has a better offensive line than he had in Oakland. So I think with him being in that division, the way that division looks right now, they should be better this year with Derek Carr than they were with Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston.
Yeah,
or
get on the Saints going out and taking the division. I mean, this surely puts them as the front runner. And when you look at the quarterbacks across the board, as is before the draft, it does not look pretty. Now, you do expect that the Panthers are going to have a different quarterback that we don't know, but that could easily be Anthony Richardson. You already mentioned him. They, I think, are high on him. More, I think they would be willing to do that. And then they already lost Sam Darnold. They don't have Baker Mayfield, obviously. So you'll look at this team, who's going to play quarterback for them this year? Because if it is Anthony Richardson who they draft, which is all speculative, or Bryce Young, they should not probably start them week 1.
They just signed someone too.
Oh, did they? I don't know if I saw that.
They did, and for some reason the name is slipping my mind. And I was like, I mean, it could be a decent, bridge guy, but it wasn't like a big name where you're like, oh yeah, he could be. But man, the name for some reason slipped in my mind. But yeah, I mean, I would think if you draft Bryce Young, yeah, you probably argue that you could start him right off the bat. I mean, the offense line isn't awful. I think it can be better. They are young. I think Ike Ekwonu will be a lot better in his second year than he was his first year. The problem is that you made this trade, and now who are they supposed to throw the football to?
Yeah, you lost a great receiver too.
Yeah,
you don't have McCaffrey.
Yeah, you lost your receiver, and now you lose Dante Foreman, who was a really good running back last year.
Yeah,
and yeah, I look at it and go, I don't know quite what you're gonna do. I mean, you throw the young guy in there. I guarantee you, if Anthony Richardson's the pick, we won't see Richardson.
No,
they do still have Matt Corral on the roster.
Are they giving up on Matt Corral, a third-round pick? Are they already giving up on him? He's under contract for 3 more seasons.
Yeah,
you're done.
They essentially said he's for trade.
I did hear that. It doesn't make any sense to me. We both, I mean, even college, I know it was the SEC, I know it was Ole Miss, and he got hurt. He looked like one of the more, at least put together quarterbacks. It was a weaker quarterback class, but still, I can't imagine giving up on a third-round pick already. For who? Who is the surefire guy this year?
I mean, my board, it's CJ Stroud, but the murmur is they're pretty keen on Richardson, because they think it's the second coming of Cam Newton, and
Cam Newton completed passes consistently against the best talent in the SEC.
Yeah, and that was my thing. I was like, you can't compare the two. You take the one season that Cam Newton started in college football, he won the Heisman and he won a national championship in the SEC. You take the 1 year, you take the 1 year that Anthony Richardson started in the SEC, and he completed 52% of his passes. And most of the touchdowns that everyone's talking about, oh, look at the arm strength, the guys were wide open 20 yards down 20, 40, 30 yards down the field. That's one of the easiest passes to make in football. If you got a strong arm, a deep ball, let's go ahead and just chuck it up there. And they got, 15 yards separation. Even if I underthrow it, the guy's still probably going to come up with the catch. So, we've talked about it. I'm not big on Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, he barely makes my top 5 quarterbacks in this draft.
Probably because of all the physical tools that he has.
Exactly.
It's so high of a boom that, there is the bust floor that we can see. You just have to sneak. And it's also not a great quarterback year either.
Yeah, no, it's really not.
A couple of years, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so I don't get the affinity that a lot of people have with him. Yeah, the dude is 6'4", 240 pounds, and he ran a 4.4. That's nothing. It wasn't anything I wasn't expecting. I was expecting him to go to the combine and crush it like he did, because the dude is big, athletic, and fast. I expected all the numbers. The one thing I didn't expect, I expected, was him to go there and not be able to throw the football too well. Yeah, he has a strong arm, but you watch a lot of these short passes he was throwing at the combine, they weren't accurate. They were high. He overthrew them, and then when he tried to muscle it to him, he was throwing it behind him, and then he tried to take some off, and they were still throwing it behind him because he doesn't have the timing. That is something he's going to have to work on, his footwork, mechanics, and everything. And to me, you trade all that for that guy, and you're probably looking at least 2 years that he's going to have to set. And 2 years to me is the absolute minimum. 2 years that he's going to have to set and get better.
If he gets drafted in the top 10, he's not sitting more than 10 games.
No, and that's the problem, because he's not going to be a guy you can immediately draft and go, yep, this guy's going to help my team. I think CJ Stroud is a guy that you can draft and go, yep, this guy can help my team. Maybe not be the best, rookie quarterback we've ever seen, but he's going to be productive because he's accurate. He has great footwork, and you watch him throw the ball, and it's effortless. On every single pass, it's crisp, effortless where it's supposed to be. So if CJ Stroud isn't the pick, whoever Frank Reich will not be the head coach in a couple of years, because the quarterbacks will let him down, and it'll be the same exact thing. Yeah, same exact thing we saw in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Well, so it sounds to me like, and we'll lean to this for just a second. The trade to the Bears got a great deal. I mean,
Oh
for
yeah,
those who didn't know, they are getting not only we already mentioned DJ Moore, but they're also getting a second round next year, or 2 years, sorry, a first rounder next year, and then top 10 pick this year, as well as a second round pick, a late
yeah,
second. I mean, that's a great deal for we don't have Andrew Luck here.
yeah,
I mean, it's not Peyton Manning.
yeah.
So,
Ryan Poles killed it on that trade.
man, I just wish we knew what Joseph was feeling.
I know, right? Where's Joseph when we need him?
Should have just, hey, dial in real quick. We need you to just
Yeah,
chime in on this. Yeah, this is a great trade. And for a Bears team who traded away so much last year, like a Khalil Mack, and to see what they are doing this year, they're setting themselves up to hopefully put some weapons around Justin Fields. And this means that Justin Fields shouldn't be traded away, shouldn't find a new home. It sounds like they're going to believe in him. And he showed up last year that he can be that guy. So that's just what I'm feeling is that was the decision. And it looks like they definitely won.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The thinking of it is okay, you're the Panthers, and yes, Frank Wright isn't a guy that's going to want to sit around and wait for a quarterback because we saw what happened, in Indianapolis when they played quarterback carousel for 5 years.
Terrible.
Yeah. And so they went and made the trade, and I'm just like, you could have kept that starter corral or whoever you signed, start him. You have your pick next year, and you got two guys in that draft that I believe are better than any quarterback in this draft.
Yep.
And you go ahead and trade this year's first, next year's first, 2 second-round picks, and your best player on your team.
Yep.
And you're talking about taking Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And if I'm Frank Wright, I'm fighting it tooth and nail, and I go, okay, you draft Richardson, you're finding a new head coach. I will quit right now because that's from everything I heard. Luke McCown and him were huge on CJ Stroud. They're like, this is the guy that we believe this guy can come in and he can be a superstar in the NFL in a few years. And so that's when they made the trade. I was like, yeah, that's probably the pick. And now you're hearing things. Oh, they met with them at the combine, and now there's setting them up for another visit, official visit. And I'm like, dude, if you make that move and you miss, it's gonna go down as one of the worst trades in history because one, you gave Justin Fields a legit number one target and something he was lacking because Claypool, I think, is a solid number two. I don't think he could ever get to that number one.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney, same thing.
Yeah.
And he's got to be able to stay on the field. So now you give him DJ Moore, who we said last year on the podcast is the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. Mm-hmm. What he's done with the quarterbacks that have been there is just insane that a lot of people don't think about him when you talk about, top 15 wide receivers. They're like, what? You plays for Carolina. And then you look at the numbers year in, year out, it's 1,000 yards, 5-6 touchdowns, almost 100 yards every year, or 100 receptions every year. And it's with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, as bad as he was, PJ Walker.
Yeah, an AAF quarterback.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it is a heck of a steal, and it's not the last trade I think that's going to be made for a quarterback. We're going to have Aaron Rodgers, who came out of the silence of the dark and tells us he intends to play with not with the Packers, but with the Jets. I think he told everybody he intends to play with the Jets after he was told, you ain't going to play here in Green Bay. You're a Green Bay Packers fan. You're wearing a Packers hat right now. Is that how you're seeing it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you watched. Did you watch any of the interview?
No, I can't get myself to do that.
Okay, so I mean, as a Packers fan, I chimed in. I looked in, I watched it, and he basically said before he went on, he basically was throwing all of it on the Packers front office, saying, oh, they drafted Jordan Love, they did this to me, they did that, and then. Oh, they told me, after the offseason, I had as much time as I wanted to decide and to make my decision. And he's like, so I went in my little darkness retreat, whatever in the world that is. He said, in my mind, I was 90% retire, 10% play. And he's like, the first 2 days I'm in the darkness, all I could think about is what I was going to do in retirement. And I was retiring from football and I wasn't playing. He's like, but then the last couple of days, he said, all it was in my mind was, how am I going to play? How am I going to get my body ready? I'm ready. I'm going to play in the NFL this year. And then he's like, I came out and everything had changed where I got messages from people saying they're trying to trade me. They're ready to move on from me. And this is not something that, they expressed to me. And so it caught me off guard and blah, blah, blah. Well, NFL Network ran with it. And they're like, oh, he came out and Packers said that they didn't want him. So that changed his mind. He wanted to play football now. I was like, oh, that's not anywhere close to what he said. And then, yeah, he started talking like all this stuff. Well, then AJ Hawk, he's on the Pat McAfee show all the time. I don't know if he's like co-host or whatever he does. He's talking and he asked Rodgers, he said, so if you would have came out and you had messages on your phone and it's Mark Murphy and it's Goodicus saying, hey, we want you to be our quarterback. We're moving forward with you. Quarterback one next year. Would it have been, okay, let's do this? And he said, no, probably not. And I'm like, okay, right there. You had your decision. Before you went in, you didn't want to be a Green Bay Packer. You were questioning whether you wanted to be a Green Bay Packer. So now that the Packers are ready to move on, they beat you to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I break up with you first. Is what he wants
to
do.
And you get all butthurt about it. And I'm like, so, and he's like, well, why? He's like, well, there were some, feelings that they were ready to move on. I was like, that's not what you just said. You just contradicted yourself. Yeah. You said that they were willing to give you all the time you wanted and that they were, just staying in the middle. We're happy to have you come back. If you're ready to move on, then, that's cool. Now you're saying, oh, well, I had this feeling they were ready to move on from me and blah, blah, blah. Now that's made part of my decision, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm ready for it. Just ship him out.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah. Over it.
Is there any chance he doesn't end up in either uniform? That the Packers don't send him to New York, they send him somewhere else?
No. I think that's the only team that's in on him. Really.
The Bucks they've already done this play. Why not the Bucks?
The problem is that Rodgers, he could tank any deal to any other team besides them if he goes, okay, I'll just retire. So it kills the deal no matter what.
So you're not for Rodgers either.
No, I still think that they have a lot of leverage because the Jets are so desperate.
They are very desperate.
They are basically making themselves where they are win now when it shouldn't be that way. When you've got great young talent with Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, you got all these young guys on the defensive side. Now you're so desperate to try to get there. You're going to go out and try to get a guy that, 90% going into the offseason, he was ready to retire. The comparison to the way Favre left Green Bay is so eerily, the same.
Oh, you drafted Aaron Rodgers, and you may ask me to develop. No, I don't want to do that. You're going back. Oh, you drafted Jordan. It's literally the same thing. I'm glad you mentioned.
Yeah, and then the only difference, literally almost the only difference, is that Brett Favre officially retired from the Packers, and then they moved on to Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers didn't officially retire; they just kind of moved on themselves. But now you're going to go to the Jets after you basically push away all the young talent that you had on the offensive side until you went, okay, I actually need them. I can't trust, just trust Lazard and Cobb and Tunyon and all these guys to produce. Yeah. So now I'm going to have to use Christian Watson. Now you're going to go to the same situation where you have young receivers and you're not going to trust. And this is my thing that a lot of people are like, oh, Garrett Wilson's going to explode next year. Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson's going to explode. And I'm like, there's only one factor. That only way that Garrett Wilson starts out the season and has a good, consistent season throughout the whole year is if Aaron Rodgers is motivated enough to show up in the offseason. And we've seen it time in, time out. A guy that's 90% ready to retire, he's not motivated for the offseason.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the same thing. He's not going to build a rapport with Garrett Wilson or Elijah Moore if he's not in the deal, or Breece Hall or any of these guys. And there's a reason why they're going out and signing Allen Lazard and trying to sign Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis. And
I don't understand any. I get Allen Lazard at least a little bit. The other two, it doesn't make any sense. And yeah, that's great because Aaron Rodgers is basically giving him a list of the players he wants. And you wonder why your time is done in Green Bay, because basically I feel like the Packers have tried to do that for him. and he's not. Players make terrible GMs. I don't know if they know.
LeBron James. Have you not seen what the Lakers look like?
Well, they're on a bit of a hot streak right now, but overall, you're
I don't
100%
care.
right. Players make terrible GMs, and guess what? Owners make terrible GMs. Let the GMs be the GMs, the owners be the owners, the players be the players, coaches coach. Right? Baseball, football, basketball, it does not matter. You're terrible at this job. Just do what you, because it's too much. It's outside the scope. You haven't been playing your whole NFL career scouting out talent. Or how do they mesh well? How do they go in this system? You just haven't. I'm sorry.
The one thing that gets me about all this is you gripe and complain the last how many years, last 2, 3, 4 years, that, man, you're not getting them any talent on the offensive side early in the draft. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You're just keeping the same guys over and over again. Yet, whenever you're griping and complaining about this, you're going to go to a new team. What do? You're essentially trying to take the exact same offensive players that you had in Green Bay and move them to the Jets.
Doesn't make any sense.
What is it going to? Yeah, what the difference is going to be? Nothing, because it's the same exact players. It's a guy from Alan Lazard, and we'll get to part of this, but you look at the numbers, and they weren't bad this year. They were solid career numbers, but there's other metrics that you ain't looking at that were absolutely awful. That, like, drop percentage out of 111 starting, total qualified wide receivers.
Yeah, there's enough. Yeah,
he was ranked 80th in drops.
Yeah,
and then what was it? Ball tracking. He was ranked like 91st, and then yards after catch, which is a big deal for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we saw what Devontae Adams was able to do in that offense. Yards after catch. He was ranked 97th out of 111 wide receivers. So the deal to me, I thought was insane. But he says that he didn't give him a list. He just mentioned players that he had great, rapport with, and great professional players, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he pretty much gave him a list. And now the Jets are interested in Odell Beckham. One of the 4 players that he didn't give him the list, but he mentioned that he would, like to play with.
Yeah.
Why? You got Garrett Wilson. You got arguably a top 5 best young receivers in the NFL. Why you want to go out and get old guys? Odell Beckham, who just came off an ACL injury. He was supposed to be healthy in November, but the ACL didn't heal correct, or he didn't heal fast enough. Missed the whole season. Randall Cobb, who should be in the retirement home. Alan Lazard, who isn't a great receiver, and Mercedes Lewis is another guy that should be retired. And
100%.
You've got Elijah Moore, who may be a little bit of a drama queen, but the guy his rookie year with Zach Wilson as a rookie quarterback had a productive season. Garrett Wilson, you just won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Why do you want these other guys? It doesn't make sense.
I know. It's because desperation makes people have terrible choices. It just brings out the worst people, because it's whatever they fear the most is what drives their decisions. So that's what we've seen. So, I mean, just great job breaking it down from like both sides, like one from Aaron Rodgers, but from the Packers and the Jets, and great job on that. I mean, it's a mess of a situation, but I think it's exactly what we expected once we got to this point. Like, if this is what played out, and we said, hey, this is what it's going to look like in 2 months, and we said that in December, we were like, oh yeah, I believe it. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And so here we are. We're just living in it. Now you have one game, so we got enough time for maybe a game real quick. Yep. We're going to wrap up a bonus pod. But so you got to explain the game. I'm not really sure what it is, but let's go.
Okay, so free agency happened this week.
Yes,
I went and took some of the bigger deals and players, some of the bigger positions, and so who would you rather have out of? So I've got quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and then offensive tackles, because I think this one may pertain a little bit to your situation there in Kansas City.
It might.
So, all right, we'll start it off right here with quarterbacks. We'll go with the big dogs right off the bat. Who would you rather have? Jimmy Garoppolo, 3 years, $72 million. Derek Carr, 4 years, $150 million. $100 million guaranteed. Geno Smith, 3 years, $105 million. or the Daniel Jones 4 years, 160 million.
Of those with all contact like team, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, that was
best
my
deal
thing.
too. It's not even close. And I know I'm not going to get 17 games each of those 3 years. I understand that, and I'm going to have to go get a backup or someone that can play well. But of all those, he's the one that played in the Super Bowl, right? Gotten his team almost to a Super Bowl, and then he probably would have gotten his team to a Super Bowl this year had he played.
Yeah, and say the situation's probably not the best being with the Raiders.
Oh yeah,
but the dude wins. He that's all he does. All right, let's move on to the running backs.
Was that what you would have chosen too?
Yeah, I would have went Jimmy G. It was a good discussion between him and Derek Carr, but I don't know if Carr is worthy of that type of money. Was the biggest thing
guaranteed, and and it goes up to 150. I can let it half for one less half. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm close.
Yeah. All right, running backs. This one I thought was a little interesting. The way some of these worked out, I wasn't quite understanding some of them. So we got Miles Sanders, 4 years, $25 million.
Where'd he go?
David Montgomery. I'm pretty sure he went to Carolina, didn't he?
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was Carolina. Then you got David Montgomery, 3 years, $18 million. So $6 million per year. Jamal Williams, 3 years, $12 million. Or Samaje Perine, 2 years, $7.5 million.
Where did Samaje end up?
The Broncos.
I'd say of all those deals, the Dave Montgomery one doesn't make. That's not that good of a deal. The Miles Sanders, 4 years at 25. There's no way in 4 years he's still on the roster. Just as a running back, I don't believe it. They'll cut him at some point. Of all of those, and I hate this because I don't feel like it's analytic. I'm a budget guy, but it's the last one. It's Samaje.
See, I 100% agree. I think the other ones are the David Montgomery. But Samaje, look at what he did last year with Mixon. And say he looked good when Mixon was hurt. And so that's what I think that he has evolved his game a lot compared to what we saw in college, where it was basically run straight. He's became sneakily one of the better pass catching running backs in the NFL.
He did do that's a good point.
He's a very good third down back. And then you think about the situation with how long is Javonte Williams out for to start the season?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
They don't have another running back besides Alex Boone.
I know, and I don't like Boone. That's one of the reasons why I was like, well, he's actually going to get solid playing time, but I know his role going into it.
Yeah, I didn't hate the David Montgomery one because he is productive, but the problem is the injury staying on the field. I don't like the Miles Sanders one. I think it was a 1 year. He had a great year because you look at the years before that, and it was can't score touchdowns, can't stay on the field, the yards up and down. And then the Jamal Williams, there's no way the dude's scoring 18 touchdowns again.
No, there's
in
not.
The season.
But I like the fit and it based off the system. But what was his deal? What was the overall price?
It was 3 for $12, so it's not awful. It's $4 million per year.
That one now. Now thinking about it, that might be 1A, 1B with him. And
my biggest thing was need. You're the Saints. You've got Alvin Kamara.
He's probably going to get suspended for a little bit, so you do need someone to fill the gap.
Maybe, yeah. There is that aspect.
But yeah, so it's close. It's close. I might lean him just a little bit more now. I thought his deal was like 20, so I look at his number right.
But and I'm sure it may look homer because we are Oklahoma fans, and Samaje did play at Oklahoma, but he really, when Mixon was hurt last year, the numbers he put up were really good numbers, and it wasn't just receiving yards. He had 130-some yards just rushing in a couple of games, and then the pass blocking ability that he brings and the receiving ability, I think, sets him up to be a really good. To me, he's one of the better number 2 running backs in the NFL, and you get him for $3.5 million. Shoot, I'll take that any day.
So the deal is pretty great.
Yeah.
All right, what we got next?
Wide receivers.
Okay.
So this one per year ain't going to be different. They're all the same amount.
Okay.
So you got Jacoby Meyer, 3 years, $33 million.
I don't want to touch it.
Juju Smith-Schuster, 3 years, $33 million.
Yep.
Alan Lazard, 4 years, $44 million. So they're all 3 getting $33 million a year. Which one are you taking on the 11?
Juju
basically
Smith.
11. I don't understand what the Patriots are doing. Why? Or not the Patriots. I mean, let me rephrase. I don't understand what the Raiders are doing.
Right. Okay. There you go. Yeah, that makes sense.
Why move on? Or why pick up Jacoby Myers for 11 million a year? Yeah, he had his best numbers last year. He actually scored touchdowns, but you already had Devontae Adams. You have Hunter Renfrow. Yeah, you got rid of Waller, which I don't think really matters a whole lot. But I mean, if there was a possibility that you could have went and got a Juju, I take Juju 100 times out of 100 out of all three of these guys. Yeah. The fact, though, that Juju is getting the same contract that Jacoby Meyer and Allen Lazard is, to me, it's a slap in the face to Juju. For the season he had last year, even though he missed some games, he still had 900 yards receiving. And part of it is that he had Patrick Mahomes. But we look at the years before that, and we were looking at Juju going, man, he was a 1-2 year wonder and basically was a bust after that. And he remade his career, and I think the Patriots absolutely nailed it because you don't have a receiving group with them. Mac Jones needs someone to throw the football to. You lose Jacoby Myers, I'll take Juju over him any day.
I definitely agree. The biggest knock for Juju was he's not a big play deep down the field, but he is Jacoby Myers. Average the same. I don't know. It wasn't even close. Juju for sure. Yeah. It was good. Right. I didn't know that they were all three the same. I hadn't looked at them side by side. So that was good.
Yeah, it's interesting. The fact that Allen Lazard got the same amount of money as both of those guys, it blows my mind. But, yeah. So now we're going to move on to the offensive tackles.
Okay.
Which I think some of them got overpaid. I will say that. So we got Mike McGlinchey, 5 years, $87.5 million to the Broncos. You got Jawan Taylor, 4 years, $80 million to the Chiefs. And then you got Orlando Brown, 4 years, $64.5 million. But the one big caveat in his contract is that his signing bonus is $31 million. So he does become the highest guarantee or signing bonus for an offensive lineman in the NFL history. Out of all those, which one would you rather have?
Well, I don't want to be. I think of all of them, which player do I want the most, regardless of contract, is probably Orlando Brown. But knowing that I have Patrick Mahomes, this is the lens I'm thinking through. I don't know that I can afford him. He's only 26. Jawan Taylor's 25. And then how old is it? 28. So yeah, Mike McGlinchey did a really good job. I don't know. This is tough. This is the hardest one for me. Who will you have?
I have Orlando Brown, and it's not close. The fact is, and this is what, if the Chiefs were signing Jawan Taylor to replace Andrew Wiley at right tackle, that would be the pick. But and that's what I initially thought it was. I was like, man, that's a great signing because Wiley is a solid offensive tackle. Nothing special, nothing flashy. But Jawan Taylor is a big upgrade, I think, over Wiley at right tackle. Yeah. But now the fact is that you're going to move him to the left side where he's never really played and replace Orlando Brown, who maybe it was somewhat of a down year for him, but is a four-time Pro Bowler and was part of that offensive line that was the best pass blocking offensive line in the NFL.
True.
And you're going to replace him with a guy that is most of his career, the majority in the main parts of his career, he's a right tackle. And you're going to try to replace him and put him on that side where he's not really played, which people may go, oh, there's not much difference. There's a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
There's the way that they pass set everything is completely opposite of what they would do from the other side. So that was my biggest thing, is that if they were signing him to replace Wiley, I think it's the best deal because I think the upgrade was there. But now that they're doing it to replace Orlando Brown, I don't like that deal so much.
Well, I don't think they could have gotten Orlando Brown for the price that Orlando Brown got afterwards. I think he just would have wanted more. But still, I think he's the best of the three for sure.
My thing is, though, why wouldn't you have offered him the 4 for $80 million? I mean, I would take Orlando Brown at 4 for $80 million over Javon Taylor at 4 for $80 million. And that's my thing is like, I think Orlando Brown absolutely was the loser of the of free agency. We texted about this. I mean, you turned down what was it, $139 million over 6 years, $23 million per year before the season started, and now you're getting 4 years, $64 million. You struck out bad.
Yeah. I was surprised when his figure. I thought it was going to be much, much higher, especially because he's not old or anything like that. He's not like a 28, 29, 30-year-old guard or tackle. So, it's I would love Orlando Brown. What I would worry is, will he be any different? Like, does he play up to the people that he has around him and the culture around him, or does it matter? Because I don't know that the culture will be the same.
Yeah.
In Cincinnati that it was in Kansas City because that offensive line hasn't been that good, right? They've had injuries. They have given up sacks to where Joe Burrow said, "Listen, I don't care. Like, I'm here to win games. And sometimes we're going to get sacks. I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to put that on my line." Does he take a step back? I don't know. I hope not. I love Orlando Brown, but I don't know.
I mean, last year Orlando Brown wasn't the best. He wasn't quite what he was, 2021 season, but he was still one of the better left tackles in the game. And he's proven that even when he was with Baltimore in a completely different type of offense where he's having to block with a more mobile running, quarterback going, okay, he's going to run the ball a lot more, stuff like that. He was still one of the best tackles in football. So I don't think that his game really, it matters a whole lot because, culture wise, Cincinnati isn't Kansas City, and it's probably not Baltimore. I don't know quite what the culture is with Baltimore anymore, but I still think that, one, for Joe Burrow, you got you a major upgrade, and you got you a guy that can actually protect your blind side and get rid of a guy that gave up 19 sacks in the season last year.
Yeah, insane. That's a huge number. 19.
So, I don't think, honestly, I think, I think it puts a chip on his shoulder. And we see him perform, a lot better than he did this year.
Yeah, that was a good game, man. I like it. That was tough. It's tough to make those right there. You're like, who would I want? And who I want may not be the best deal, even though Orlando Brown's contract was, that much better. Like I just don't get how it was not higher. So he didn't.
The thing is you never know. He may have never just wanted to go back to the Chiefs. That could have been a big part of it. Maybe they did offer him the 4 for $80 million, and he said no. I guess we'll probably never know that part, but if you didn't and you just automatically moved on to Javon Taylor, man, I guarantee he takes that 4 for $80 million and stays in Kansas City with the team with the best quarterback in the NFL.
It's true. He's the best. Well, there's a ton more news to talk about with the NFL, but we only had so much time today, so we are going to have to hit pause. Don't worry, we're not hitting stop. We are hitting pause, and we will pick this conversation back up again on Monday when you guess. We are going to have a guest on our show. Just to let you know a little bit on the front end, it is someone who has been an agent for a while. Tubby, why don't you go ahead and just let the people know who they're getting to talk or hear from?
So, do we want to leak the name? We want to go ahead and give out
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
So Monday we're going to have Howard Shotsky on the podcast. Howard was a player agent for many years. He also was his first job, like in the agency and stuff like that. He actually worked for the NFLPA, so he knows that side of it also. The CBA and stuff like that. So that's also a cool thing. But he had clients like Michael Strahan and Brian Westbrook and Cornelius Bennett, bigger name people. And so he knows what he's doing. It's going to be awesome because now he's a coach agent. So he mainly does with coaches. So I think it's going to be a great, to see the side of the agent, especially around the free agency period. And even the draft now, coming up, how they handled that, signing these, kids coming out of college. So I think we're going to get a good a side of something that we probably don't know a whole lot about. And it's probably one of the parts of football, in sports that I don't know that much about the agent side of it and how they handle all this stuff. So I think it's going to be really cool
exactly
interview.
why he's coming on the show. Is thankfully to Tubby just building that relationship. So we're gonna have a whole new side, just like you said. I think it's gonna be a ton of fun. So tune in. It'll happen at the front end of the podcast next week, and we go live about 6:30 every single Monday. That's Central Time. So make sure you adjust your clock, set the reminders, subscribe on YouTube, be a part of the conversation, and get to hear something brand new. I'm just saying it's going to be a fun, and you bet we are going to dive into the Lamar Jackson, maybe even Aaron Rodgers saga, just about what that looks like from an agent's perspective and how he would be handling that situation. There's a lot going on. So until then, thank you all so much. Thank you so much for subscribing, for being a part of the chat, for being a part of the conversation today with our bonus episode, and we will see you guys on Monday.
See ya.
Boom.